other big areas to hit: Desert and Death Mountain.
Yep, ideally, overworld glitches, it's hard to really read logic and decide where to go because everything's open so quickly. So a lot of it comes down to the efficiency of your checks, and we are getting going here. A art piece in Link's house, and we get an early map check with 3 crystals in the Light World. Eastern is a 5-6 crystal. There is exactly one situation in which that matters.
And if you guess Durand will go to Uncle first, you win. Congratulations. What's their prize, Mentos?
They get to see what Uncle gives these runners first.
Okay, everyone else close your eyes.
Ooh, there's a sword on Lake Hylia Island, so Ack is gonna go grab that immediately with a fancy little clip here.
This is actually 2 major glitches in one to get there. The first is a... Actually, no, you know what? 3. The first is a downward teleport to get onto the ledge. The second... Ooh, I win Uncle game. The first is a downward teleport to get onto the ledge. The next is a ledge hop to bypass the screen transition. And the third is a funny auto walk thing.
And there we go. End up directly at the island, able to get that sword. No mirror, no Dark World access, no flippers required. It just happens.
Yep, and that's the logic immediately. That is not a sequence break.
And now there are plenty of major glitches that are sequence breaks according to the logic in this mode, but for the most part, most of them are accounted for. Most of the useful ones are accounted for and required.
Yeah, well, 2 things you will never see be required are mirror wraps and overworld YBAs.
Yep, and here we go to K45, which is 3 bombs. Actually kind of a nice pickup. Ack gets a bottle in Sahasrara, if I saw that right.
Yep, it was an empty bottle, but that is still very useful if he knows how to use it.
And the lamp, so no dark rooms. Yay!
Yep, and even though major glitches and minor glitches are both in logic, dark rooms still are not. 50 rupees at race game, not very exciting. Probably not going there. But we do get a library check. And bonk rocks from Ack.
I'm actually somewhat surprised that Durand didn't do the quick teleport to steal the item from the race game, because that 50 rupees would be enough to guarantee bottle vendor funds in Kakariko.
Yeah, it's very nice and pretty newish clip. I think it was discovered a couple weeks ago. It was a slight variation on a regular clip to get down the desert.
We're going to get the lumberjack check. This is a lot more common in this mode since you start with boots. It's on the table as soon as you have Aghanim access, and pretty much the only way Aghanim can be required.
Yup, if you have a bottle, then you don't need... If you have the bottle, the pearl, or the mirror, there is nothing forcing you to do Aghanim except for lumberjack.
And thankfully for these 2, lumberjack is just a big 20, so they're probably not going to try to get that. Probably.
Hopefully not, because there's no reason. We have the hook shot from Ack, which is pretty much equivalent to the sword in terms of what it can open up. Although every glitch that you can do with the sword and hookshot can also be covered by standard boot buffers. Although I'm not entirely sure if the logic considers that. I do believe it has a can you spin speed command, or function rather.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think you're right on that. Also worth knowing that the hookshot does save them from having to do the East Death Mountain clip nearly as often, which is a nice plus. That one's kind of annoying at times.
Well, I guess Durand did not need those rupees. We have 300, along with a lot more in Sasha's hut, and the Moon Pearl as well. So now everything is open.
Yep,
Pretty
outside
much.
of a couple dungeons that you need a specific item to get in, a couple things that are locked by level 1 gloves or level 2 gloves, the world is their oyster. They can go anywhere.
Yep, pretty much. What's locked by level 1 gloves on the overworld? Like, what's truly locked? I don't think it's anything.
The big one is Checkerboard Cave.
Oh, that... Okay, yeah. One location, I think? I can't think of anything else.
Hookshot Cave is the other one, but that can be bypassed with a sequence break, whereas Checkerboard does actually require it no matter what.
Actually, there might be a way into Checkerboard. Might. I'd have to mess around with it more, though. Because, you see...
Find something, let me know.
Well, you see, the way... you notice that Checkerboard Cave, once you open it, it's always open. That's because every screen has a simple overlay that it uses to change the appearance of one entrance. So if you found a way to change the overlay on, say, the screen east of Swamp, or no, west of Swamp, and then you did that while doing a YBA to the west, that should open up Checkerboard Cave.
Yeah, that makes sense in a very complicated way, but definitely get what you're saying here. They are finishing up their Kakariko checks, doing something that Durand could not by checking Sick Kid, and he gets the flippers, which are pretty much useless except for Swamp Palace.
They do provide a nice bit of mobility, but other than that, Swamp Palace really is the only thing that can force flippers.
Honestly, I actually dislike finding them early in this mode, just because fake flippers are in logic, so is Water Walk, and Water Walk is faster but gets broken by flippers.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you don't like finding early in Overworld glitches, just because it either opens up a location that's by itself, or it just makes it less fun.
Durand over here preparing for a standard Death Mountain ascent, going to do an upwards teleport past the screen transition, work his way to a specific spot on the screen, and then transition to the right, and that'll end him up on Death Mountain. Ack is going to go for this race game item steal.
Oh, nope, just desert. And the reason that Death Mountain Ascent works is because even though it seems like he's moved to the bottom of the screen, he's actually just moved far past the transition because his coordinates decide what screen he's on. When he moves west, or when he moves east or west, either of those directions, the game will think, okay, you are on this screen, so I'm putting you on the screen next to it. So in this case, it thinks he's on the Lumberjack screen, and when he moves east, the next screen is Death Mountain, and that's where it puts him.
And worth noting as well that he did a little bit of wiggling once he got there. That was to correct the camera a bit. If you go into the Old Man Cave before the camera has caught up, then it can take like several minutes to transition into the Old Man Cave.
Yeah, and that only works with multi-entrance caves like the Old Man Cave. That's because they can spit you out to other places, so whenever you exit one, it tries to correct your camera based on where it is. Single entrance caves don't do that because you're never expected to leave from one single entrance to another.
Ack over here in Desert found 3 bombs on the torch, has not found the second item yet. He's going to go check the big chest, see what's there.
He could go to Lamo, although with nothing but Fire Sword and bombs, it's not a very fun fight.
Yeah, legitimately actually harder than Vanilla, since Vanilla you at least have the bow.
I don't know, I've seen Lambo kill a lot of runs. Well,
There's number 2.
That means he can put Lamo off for when he has better equipment. He can do it whenever he wants.
Yep, we know he'll have to do it eventually, but why do it now when you're probably going to be back in the area where you can get here quickly at some point, so... Might as well wait till you can do it easier, like when you get that fire rod.
Fire rod and blue mail. Shovel's also an interesting item to get because he can go there right from the desert area. He can... That's probably what we're about to see him do a spin speed clip to get through the corner down here and go up to Cave 45, after which he can jump off the ledge and go straight to the grove.
Paradox Cave continuing to pay out with the powder and the silver arrows. Man, this is a good cave.
Nothing else, though. Still, those are pretty good items. They're not necessarily required, but they are very nice to have.
Also note that Ack did not go check Agina while he was right over there, which, I mean, usually won't hurt.
Quake from the shovel spot.
Outside of a very particular key alignment in T-Rock, the only thing those medallions can be required for is the Misery Mire entrance, so they got that going.
Well, bombos could be for Ice Palace. Looks like we're getting an Ag and a check from Ack. Maybe Desert, maybe not. Depends on if he wants that crystal now or later.
Durand, meanwhile, going through Spiral Cave, doesn't have the sword to make it super easy, but at least has the boots and the hookshot. But no reward for it, really.
Ack deciding to either do South Shore or Eastern. So we're getting the South Shore check.
Yep, he's sticking to trying to clear out some of the quote-unquote standard stuff before moving on, versus just jumping out.
Never a bad idea, because even though you do have access to a lot, the places with only 1 or 0 requirements can still be very powerful. And leaving one till later can really hurt your chances of winning.
Okay, now Durand is turning around there. There is actually a way to clip and teleport yourself into those hammer pegs so that you can get through there without the hammer. He could have just made a nice round route.
I did not know that. I'll have to see someone do that, because that does sound pretty useful.
I forget who it was in the Glitch Modes Discord who brought it up the other day when we were discussing the Zora Death Mountain Ascent.
Well, if it was Zora Death Mountain Ascent, it was probably Taj.
Ack going for the swag hover, because why not?
It's a good one.
So far, 30 rupees, a heart container. Okay, 50 rupees in a heart container. What a bad mini Moldorm cave.
Arming Water Walk, though, so he probably plans to do some of the Zora area. Although, and he loses Water Walk, probably realizing that he has slippers.
Yep, it could have made the trip up to Hobo a little bit quicker, but you would have had to go all the way around to a south-facing ledge to make that happen, and that just makes it take longer anyway.
Yep, this game's weird. No clue why only south ledges work. It just makes no sense.
Wake up the Hobo to find that he's got a little bit of love for Ack.
Nothing important, but he's continuing on without a save and quit, so we're probably going to see Zora area, or maybe a weird route to Eastern.
Maybe he'll do that Zora Death Mountain Ascent I was just talking about. I don't know if he knows that one, but maybe.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Especially because it's not as used, even though it's very useful.
First things first, though, going over to Ice Rod Cave, these two are going to get there about the same time.
Yep, both players. Both players using a bomb to enter, even though there is a clip, and that means either they don't know it or they do plan to continue after Ice Rod Cave back to the Zora area with Water Walk. The reason is, once you clip into the cave, you're kind of stuck in the wall, and so even though you can move, once you exit, it takes a while to get out, if you can at all, depending on how you got in there.
I actually did not know you could do that. I do know that they just got the flute in the cave, but that is wholly unrequired. It's just a, nice little bonus, ease of maneuvering type of thing. So they'll activate it next time they're in Kakariko, but they aren't going to put priority on it, really.
It's something you say, okay, I'll use it, but it's not something you say, okay, I need that.
Waterfall, despite those early flippers, having 5 rupees and 10 arrows, which is pretty awful.
Tiny shield on Zora's ledge. Probably something neither of them will go for. Both of them, Ack with his flippers and Durand with his water walk, had to take a much faster route to King Zora himself.
And 10 arrows from King Zora as well. Ack saves and quits. He's done here. I'm guessing he's going up Death Mountain at this point.
Maybe not. Looks like... Oh, he did. I was looking at the wrong screen, man. So we have Durand getting his sword, and Ack going up to Death Mountain, both covering ground that the other player has already.
And both of them get their respective clips done without issue. Ack wrapping the camera up to go into Old Man Cave. Yep, there you go.
And now he's out rescuing the old man so he doesn't have to do Death Mountain Ascent again, because it is time-consuming and it can be annoying. We see Durand going into Tower of Hera. He will be able to complete it if he chooses to.
Ack, please.
Did he do the old man hover?
He did do the old man hover.
That's one of the best.
We're getting low on locations in the Light World. They have checked most everything by this point. Not quite all, but most of it.
Yeah, but it's not always a bad idea to be thorough. But as soon as they decide to get into the Dark World, they can go anywhere they want.
And we did get the big key and the small key in the first area, so we're looking for 2 items out of 3 locations upstairs, so hope we don't have to go downstairs and take a little coffee break.
I mean, if you do the math, you're guaranteed 1 item, so that's a good thing. May not be what you want, but, I mean, it's one of the 2.
There's the compass and 3 bombs, so they did get their guaranteed item, and it was garbage.
Bombs are nice.
Yeah, but he already had 18 when he picked them up. You don't need that many bombs.
Now he has 21. And if you do the math there, 21 is a bigger number. Have a pretty vanilla Moldorm fight. Fire sword, boots, but twice as many hearts.
If you see this a lot more often in this mode, because you don't get up here via hookshot hammer as often as you do in normal modes.
Also, just in general, it has more requirements. The mirror and the way up Death Mountain, which is either the flute or gloves and the lamp.
Speedy Trolldorm giving Durand a little bit of trouble here. And there we go, he's got it down. And Speedy Trolldorm knocks Ack off the side, so he's gonna go start from scratch. And basement required.
Yep, we might see a tile room check now. We'll probably see them both dip in and out of Hera to correct their camera with the clip they used to get in here in the first place. But now's as good a time as ever to just go check that tile room. Get it out of your head.
Yeah, you always gotta wonder, why did the game give you that fire source quite so quickly? That's just too nice for this game.
Aki gets his Moldorm kill and his first crystal.
He did not do the hover over the hole in Moldorm, which, you know, did not end great for him last time when he ended up missing the item because he fell down while it was spawning and didn't know if it was anything important or not.
No, here's just a little fun fact. I don't think anyone's used this or gonna use this, but when you grab the crystal for Moldorm, you could actually dash across the hole and arm yourself a water walk.
Huh.
I don't know where you'd take it.
But
I don't know where you'd take it. I don't know how you'd use it, but you can if you want. Just saying.
and 3 more bombs in the basement.
Not useful, but it does mean it's not something they'll have to worry about. It means it's something they'll not have to worry about.
Yep, Ack is choosing to not do coffee break strats. He's just sitting here with his hookshot, breaking tiles so they fly at his face.
I mean, when your fingers are so active from clipping, you can't just let them rest. It's boring. Turtle Rock climb from Durand. He's going to clip himself downwards, getting himself stuck between the collision of many different tiles. And he's going to wiggle his way around the D-pad to slowly get pushed up and then jump off and transition into the next screen.
Yep, the only key thing that I did not learn for a while that made that seem much more difficult than it is never hit up. Up
Yeah,
is your enemy. Durand almost went to go check the T-Rock medallion, said, wait, why am I doing this? And went to Super Bunny Cave instead.
Gloves on Durand's side and Super Bunny. That's a good find. It means you can go right to Hookshot Cave without any additional clipping. So also a little more boring, but it is going to be faster.
Dark World map check. We have pendants at Skull Woods, Thieves Town, and Ice, if I saw correctly. I do know that I did not catch the red pendant. And
red pendant was
red crystal.
Red pendant was Skull Woods. That's the only one I saw.
Yeah, I saw the red crystal as well. It's not as important. It looks like our tracker got it as Misery Mire. So red crystals only matter if they don't find the mirror because it's locked behind Pyramid Fairy. But they might not even need the mirror because Swamp Palace is a pendant.
No, it also means they might not need the flippers. So Swamp being a relatively slow dungeon means you really don't want to see either of those items, since they're not always required, and Swamp is the only thing that will require them. Well, other than Fat Fairy for the mirror.
Ack adding into his loaded Paradox Cave, gonna be a little bit disappointing that he didn't get this stuff earlier.
It was a nice find, but nothing that's really gonna cost him.
Also worth noting that Durand is being bold and diving straight into T-Rock. So he's gonna have a couple chests you can check here in Logic.
Oh, and we have Durand turned into the mushroom. Not something you see from every player.
And big keys, so that guarantees that we are not going to need the T-Rock entry medallion.
Yup, and luckily for him, he also has the Fire Rod. Pokies with his current equipment are not fun at all, but luckily the Fire Rod just insta-gives them. Also very helpful for chain chomps.
Ack climbing up to Hera again, going to use this to reset his camera, and then going to join Durand in the Dark World here.
So we're gonna no hover, no super bold hover, nope, just a death warp. Probably going to get that big chest.
Okay, so Skull Woods, Thieves Town, and Swamp were the pendants. Ice is actually a crystal. So, still not a big difference. It just means that logically the mitts are required now.
And there's our third bottle total, a blue potion. Have a standard funny auto walk thing, Death Mountain Descent from Ack.
Yeah, he's not bothering with Super Bunny Cave, so he's gonna miss out on that glove. It doesn't really hurt him at all, but he's not gonna have it for a while.
He doesn't need it for Bumper Cave. He doesn't need Bumper Cave. And Durand with no way to exit Turtle Rock. Saving and quitting back to the mountain. And he's probably going to return right back to Dark World.
Yep, in this mode, until you get another form of Dark World access, you're going to see a lot of this Hera clip up to going down to the Dark World portal to head into the Dark World, because there's really no other way to get there.
They just aren't in logic. But you know that you could use the portal in Swamp without the gloves?
I did not know that one. That actually sounds kind of useful over just running around up Death Mountain over and over again.
That's a very useful one. What you want to do for that one is you want to make sure the grass is intact on the Swamp screen, and then when you want to do a red YDA north, then move down and in the bottom row of the long patches of grass, 4 to the left, if you slash that bush, it will be the portal, and it will put you on the screen north of Swamp with a broken camera, but in the Dark World. You will need the hammer though, so it's not perfect. There's also the Taj Super Jump, which by not fixing your camera and using the Dark World portal, you can then go to the southwest part of Death Mountain and jump really far down after clipping, and you end up right on the Misery Mire screen.
Yeah, that one's pretty fun. And as we make our way through Skull Woods here, we have gotten pretty much nothing of value out of this so far. Ack is going to the back. He's gonna make the play on Green Pendant.
Green? I thought it was red.
No, yeah, Red Pendant, Moth. Green Pendant is Thieves Town.
An interesting choice. I thought we saw both items.
I know we saw one. I'm trying, but with the number of keys Ack has, I think we must have only seen one.
Yeah, I guess so. So I guess we're getting Fighter Sword Moth. No half magic to use with that fire rod. No hammer, but at least he has a couple potions.
Yep, and he gets the hope for the item on Moth, not the big key, forcing him to go through the big chest to get it.
Well, he's likely going to be heading backwards anyways. So, just a small detour there.
Conserving magic to make this fight easier. Very, very good decision. Mothula is a pain with the fighter sword. It takes 16 hits to actually kill him.
It has to be 16 landed hits. Any hits into a spike will negate the damage. Oh, nope, Moth cannot have the big key. On Durand's side, we see a vanilla big key in the vanilla big key chest.
Oh, that's right. So, 50-50 shot, dungeon item, or actual item here. Ack doing a very good job with this fight so far. He is out of magic though now. It's all down to these spider sword slashes and spins.
But he gets it. Clean fight for his current equipment. And it's garbage.
So he'll take his red pendant, he'll leave, and go check the big chest, which we'll see if it has any value to it or not.
Durand making the same move, though, heading backwards to Moth. But we'll see if he decides to go back to the big chest after seeing the swall key in the bridge room.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 shot, not a fun one to take.
I'd definitely go right for the big chest. Opting to Death Warp instead of Walk Out.
Yeah, with as much health as he had, I don't think that actually saved any time whatsoever, but...
And Red Mail.
Well, the spikes don't care about the mail, so that doesn't change anything, but...
It changes the damage. Not of spikes, but of the Gibdos. Nope, the big chest was not worth it. And Durand's going to find out that sad truth shortly.
And Team Skip Early Skullwood scores another point.
In normal rando, once you have this area, Skullwood's one of very few places you can get if all you have is the hammer and the gloves. But in Overworld Glitches, it's one of the billions of places, so it's just 2 items, and we see the other set of gloves on Ack's side in the C-shaped house.
Yep, so that gives them logical access to Ice Palace, which, I don't know, I think if I'm Durand and I get that second set of gloves, I might head straight to Ice.
I don't know, it's hammerless, it's pretty gross.
It is pretty gross, but I mean, the seed is kind of screaming it, and Overworld Glitches logic doesn't scream stuff very often.
Getting a Thieves Town play from Ack. The question is, does he do the front 4 or does he shoot for that green pendant? He's equipped to get every item except for the big chest.
Durand having a little bit more trouble with Moth and Ack that I don't know how many more hits he needs. It's very hard to track how many hits you've actually got on Moth.
Yeah, because normally if he makes a noise, you got damage on him. If he flashes, it normally means you got damage on him, but it's not 100% consistent.
Also, Durand using his blue potion for its intended purpose by healing himself against Moth gets through it no problem.
And it looks like Ack is going to the back of Thieves Town, so probably going to get that green pendant.
Yep, I missed exactly how many items we've got from the front. I know it wasn't more than 2, though. So...
We've definitely got a heart, and we didn't get a small key. And I'm like 90% sure we did get the big key. If we didn't get the big key, Ack might get disqualified. But I'm going to trust his judgment here.
The big key was in the first chest. I do remember seeing that one.
Okay, as long as he's not back here without the big key, it's fine.
Durand setting up for the bomb jump here to the big chest. Should be fine right there. Yep.
Vanilla bombs for Ack. Nothing too exciting going on right now. We're likely going to see Durand go south into the Village of Outcasts area, possibly following Ack into Thieves Town.
So, you know, by this point, you're Ack, you're finishing up Pendant Thieves Town after already doing Pendant Skullwoods. When you get the mirror and the hammer, do you just say, screw it, let's go full pedestal and go to Swamp Palace?
It really depends.
And
it might be... Depends on what you think your opponent's going to do. Durand using an interesting way to get into the light world from the dark world. He used the death warp he had in Skull Woods to be in fake dark world, which means his next screen transition would send him into the light world. So he continued down, and that brought him right into normal Kakariko Village.
Yep, I gotta say, with having no Dark World access other than the Death Mountain stuff, I probably would have taken the trip into Thieves Town, but I think he might have Death Warped without thinking of it, and then just is making the best of the situation.
Yeah, not a bad way to improvise. I did see a magic bat clip as well, and with flippers, which is a lot more difficult than without flippers. Because without flippers, you can just splash by repeatedly clipping into the wall there. But with flippers, you have to know exactly where to stop. Otherwise, you're going to jump into the water and you'll have no way out except save and quit.
Getting a little bit off script on Phase 3 of Blind there, gets the map, gets his green pendant. There was nothing of value in Thieves Town, so that is unfortunate if it's not a pedestal seed. There's been a green pendant importance. There's been a lot of time thrown into pendant dungeons that were not very good.
Although keep in mind, he hasn't checked Eastern yet, has he? It's a nice little thing to route in, so he doesn't have to get the green pendant maybe later, and then trek all the way back to Eastern for one item.
And our tracker, Ilyana, pointing out that the last item is in the big chest of Thieves Town.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but I wasn't 100% sure if we had seen the compass or not.
Yeah, there's so much divergence on these races, it's very hard to actually count the items in dungeons as people go through them.
$50 rupees in the digging game, nothing exciting.
Across an entire world, the owners of their respective games have the same idea for a prize.
I mean, it's an okay prize.
Yeah, I'd take $50. Stumpy's got the bug net. That's not really useful, but, you know, we have it now.
But that should show up in the credits as, like, wrong kid catches butterflies again or something. My personal favorite is Ether, but I might be biased because I wrote it.
That does seem like some likelihood for bias. We're getting a Hype Cave check now. I saw an actual legitimate Hype Cave in the Speed Gaming Daily last night. Can this compare?
Yup. Which, you know, is a really nice segue from the word bias.
3 bombs, $20, a piece of heart, an arrow capacity upgrade, and $20. Womp,
Nothing.
womp, womp. So, we're kind of starting to get low on Dark World Overworld checks as well at this point.
Yeah, there's the Mire area, there's Catfish. I don't think there's anything else. At least
it looks like Ack is heading to the Mire area.
Oh, and Smithy, but neither player has found their second glove. So Smithy is not yet in Logic.
Well, it's in Logic, but neither of them know it is. And we find out that Mire requires Bombos, which we do not have.
That's a good thing, depending on how you look at it. Because on one hand, it's a really long dungeon that you kind of don't want to waste time in. You just want to go mode it. But on the other, it's another item you need to find.
And we get the counterpart of the Fire Rod, everyone's favorite go mode item, the Ice Rod in the Mini Mire Shed.
I mean, I actually love the Ice Rod. It's a very cool, underrated item.
It is, but it's also go mode way too often, so finding it early like this, that makes you happy.
I mean, I like the Ice Rod, so I'm always happy when I find it.
Ack heading into Dark World, probably heading into Dark Death Mountain, yes. Now, if he wanted to do a series of very, very long hovers, he could go kill Trinex right now, but he's not going to do that.
At least I hope not. Durand finishing off Landmo, getting a useless compass, but also his second crystal.
Yeah, second crystal, third dungeon.
Ack is going to find his mitts, which may change how he routes.
Yeah, I'm definitely calling Hammerless Ice Palace being important at this point.
Yeah, it's looking that way. And that's not fun. Or Hammerless Bowless Pod.
Durand can go give us a check if Checkerboard Cave. We have not seen this yet.
Just a art piece.
Yeah, that wasn't very exciting. Now Agina's Cave, the item that, if I recall... No, Ack did go back for that, I want to say. Yeah, he did go back for that.
I believe he did it after the Grove.
And we'll see where Durand is heading next. Escape is also an option on the table. It's a very easy thing to put off in this mode, but it is an option.
It's also Graveyard Ledge. We do actually have more Overworld, Light World locations than we do Dark World, I believe.
And hey, it's Ether for T-Rock, so we have the only medallion that is of 0 use.
It kills dead rocks.
Okay, it actually has a pretty fantastic use, but...
And there's the hammer.
So hammer in Sphere 1 on Graveyard Cave, that changes a lot.
Yeah, that really does. That's a fairly annoying clip, and it's kind of near nothing. You see, some of you may be thinking, well, couldn't he route in escape? It's right there. He could just jump down. And the answer is no. You see, when you use that clip downwards, it really messes up your camera. And if you know how the Houlihan room works, that requires you to have a pretty accurate camera. So if he were to jump down into the hole into escape, he would end up into the Houlihan room and exit from Link's house. And the only way to fix that camera is either with a multi-entrance cave or by going about 2 whole screens south. So it's a long trek, and it would be much faster to just save and quit to Sanctuary.
And Durand, with that hammer and hookshot opening up, the whole left side of GT is going to go ahead and jump right into here.
Yep. Keep in mind that in Overworld Glitches, Ganon's Tower does not have a junk prefill. So, whereas normally it could be anywhere between 0 and 15 items that are just shoved in there to make it less useful, Ganon's Tower could hold anything and everything.
Yep, its only requirements to enter are the boots that you start with and the pearl. Other than that, it is a free game to have any progression that you need in a run.
I mean, if you really wanted to, you could break the logic and get in here with nothing.
Ooh!
It's kind of big, but it's also bad. Because now we know Swamp is fully in logic.
Yeah, I was going to say that both opens up the pedestal, but the mirror is also very nice to have. There's Ether, so that gets us into T-Rock.
The thing is, Ack hasn't found his hammer yet, so he doesn't know that Swamp is completely in the logic.
Yeah, I would hope that he doesn't end up going there without it.
So it looks like we're getting probably the Fat Fairy check. Oh, what are you doing, Ack? Yep, we're getting the Fat Fairy check.
If he was having a little bit of trouble finding that portal, but...
See, with the broken camera, despite the graphics seeming and the tile collision seeming to imply that you're on Death Mountain, right now he is actually right inside the Hyrule Castle courtyard. You're too far left, Ack.
Yeah, I
That might
don't
work.
think that's gonna work.
It might. Hopefully it does. So, even though collision is all correct, you're going to notice that once you exit, there's no mirror. Well, that's because as I said, it's in the Hyrule Castle courtyard. And taking a death because he didn't activate his flute, did he?
Nope, he could do the DMD and then run down through the woods that nobody ever enters outside of entrance or this mode, but just taking the death warp to the house instead to preserve the portal.
He could also clip down, but he might not be confident enough with his clipping and doesn't want to risk a hard or soft lock, which would result in him needing to do that bunny clip again, or not the bunny clip, the Death Mountain clip again to get the portal back there. Okay, yeah, that portal location is fine. So we're going to see Ack just slip right past the broken wall and get to Fat Fairy.
We get a level 2 shield and a level 2 sword.
I mean, that's nice, I guess. And now by holding up, he's going to be pushed south because Dora's saying, you're not allowed to go up, so I'm going to make you go down. It's also a nice way for him to finally route in Uncle and escape.
Then Durand over here in GT has found really nothing of consequence since that Ether Medallion that is very, very not valuable, really. But he has gotten some health upgrades, including Sanctuary Heart. And he now goes up against the Bolus Ice Armos. Thankfully for him, he has Fighter Sword, not Master Sword.
Oh, Master Sword isn't that bad as long as you know not to use slashes. He also has the Fire Rod, he could use that. Or bombs. But Bolus Armos and Ganon's Tower is very common in this mode.
He could also do, the pointlessly long strats and just throw his boomerang at each Armos 48 times. Aw, yeah.
Well, if he is very careful, he could have the boomerang hit multiple Armos on its way back to him.
First chest in Escape is 300 rupees. That's more money than we have any use for at this point, really, except for maybe buying blue potions for Dark World fluting.
Yeah, nothing they really, because we know where Hammer is and where Gloves are. So the convenience of certain YBAs to bypass those portals isn't that helpful.
Yeah, to answer a question in chat real quick, the Master Sword is bad to have for Ice Armos because the developers of this game decided that they wanted to make these boss refights in GT more difficult if you hadn't upgraded the Tempered Sword yet. So, they made the Master Sword do less damage to the Armos than the Fighter Sword. So if you get there late game, you're still on Master Sword, you have really difficult fights if you don't, just use your bow like you usually would.
Even though Lanmo, it's just the same damage as well as Moldorm. But speaking of Master Sword, Durand also finds the third sword of the game in the right chest of the Big Key room. So he got at least something out of Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, GT was kind of garbage, but you're not going to complain about a sword upgrade.
Yeah, unlike without glitches, it's a real pain to trek all the way around Death Mountain and get back to Ganon's Tower, but in this mode it's not really a big deal, and it's something you're willing to do more than once. I think that's pure garbage in Escape.
And we do have the point raised. They might have just been thinking, we don't want spins to do extra damage to the Armos, and that's why Master Sword does less damage. It might not be because of GT.
I mean, yeah, but Moldorm and Lanmo, they just do the same damage for Master Sword and Fighter Sword instead of less. So, I mean, it's a very questionable decision.
Okay, Ack is going the vanilla route to Graveyard Ledge along with what's it called? King's Tomb right now. So he's gonna get his hammer here soon. that advantage of Durand's is about to expire.
Although it's also it might also lead him to Swamp, which wouldn't be good for Ack if it has nothing. Or it could be the thing that wins it for Ack. Swamp having a key item would be a huge advantage for him. And Pedestal even more so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, at this point, you're 2 pendants in. You've got a couple crystals you can full clear, but not many. Making the play on Pedestal isn't actually a bad idea here. 6 items in Swamp, plus the 1 on Pedestal, and it's only 1 dungeon. It's long, but it might not be a bad idea.
It also has a bunch of items. Not like Meyer, where you have a very long dungeon and only 2 items. So it's a much more desirable play.
Durand making his check of the Meyer area, about to get his disappointment. And his joy.
So we're pretty deep into this race, at least for Overworld glitches, and there are still a number of items that we do need. The Bow, Cane of Samaria, and Bombos.
Yeah, this is kind of going similar to how these two's first race went, in that they're clearing a lot of stuff and not getting the items. And that just kind of... it gets a little bit nerve-wracking after a while, especially in a tournament race type setting, when you've cleared, almost everything. You're getting lower and lower on checks, and still no sign of that progression you're looking for.
Get some nice chat spam for this.
Good old flute activation song.
Mac doesn't seem to know what he wants to do right now. Looks like he's opted to check Smithy.
Yeah, I like this. Go do Smithy Hammerpeg's purple chest. That puts you in the area afterwards of the 2 dungeons that still have items in them that you can full clear, in the form of Swamp and Ice.
Yep, and he actually has a very fast way into Ice, which doesn't require him to return to the Light World. If he wants to break, well, not really break the logic now, but do what would be a sequence break with a mirror wrap.
Yeah, which is a very nice trick to know, because it's 1/2 of the tricks that allow you to just completely disregard the fact that myths even exist. Durand heading south here is probably going to be heading into Thieves Town. He is going to check the village first, going to get his Titan's mitts, and I'm guessing probably going to jump into Thieves Town, and we might see if that big chest will come back to haunt Ack.
Yeah, that's still an unknown to everyone. But Thieves Town being a pendant and with a number of crystals to clear, he might skip it.
Well, his only clearable crystal is Ice, which is a crappy dungeon to go through. And Thieves Town is 5 items for one of the quicker dungeons, so I could definitely see the choice being made to go in there and clear it out.
Yeah, unfortunately right now both players are covering ground that the other's already covered, so we as the viewers don't really know which play is the correct one.
Yeah, Ack about to bring that purple chest down to Flute Spot 7, where you can drop it off to Gary and see what that is, but nothing else of importance on these Mitzlock locations. Nope. Nothing at all. And he's going to Ice Palace, which is a crystal you can full clear. It's a good decision to make. I like the Swamp play, but that's because I gamble on Pedestal way too often.
Yeah, Pedestal would be an interesting thing, but Crystal's a better move, although Nothing says that it can't be pedestal still. Actually, all of our items can be on pedestal.
Yep, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was some relevance to it, but first things first, we got Ice Palace, we got one more item to see in Thieves Town.
Pedestal actually opened up very quickly if you think about it.
True, although really, I mean, everything opens up pretty early in Overworld glitches, but Swamp in particular is the key thing about that early opening.
Yep, but it just means that the quicker it opens up, the better the chance overall. It's still competing with every other item location, but when it's actually opened up, it does stand a chance.
Hellway not going so great for Durand.
Yeah,
he's got plenty of health, but...
That's some very gross RNG there.
There's a reason that hallway has the name it does. It's not fun to go through, unless you get the God Pixel, in which case you just cheer and everyone's happy.
Nope, even the God Pixel has its flaws.
Axe setting up for Ice Palace Bomb Jump, one of the few tricks that if you're learning to run this game, you absolutely should learn.
The other being hovering, which we saw from Ack earlier.
Now, I feel obligated to point out that is objectively not true.
No, I think it is.
In all my time learning hovering and using it, I think it's come in majorly valuable, like, once.
But it lets you dab on the haters. Fun fact, if you go into that room that Ack just fell from, and you hold the block and do not let go, you will be hovering. After the floor falls. You can't move, you can't do anything, but you will be hovering.
Gotta love this game's inability to do two things at once.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that's the same reason the magic cape trick works.
Okay, here's the moment of truth.
Both players going to hammerlock locations. And nothing.
$20. Ack is safe.
Well, we know he's safe. He might be still in the back of his mind.
Oh, it'll definitely be in the back of his mind, but if you've left the Thieves Town big chest behind, it's your last location to return to. And since we know it's nothing, he'll never end up going back there.
Unless he misses something. And hopefully we don't see that. Ice Palace has not been paying off.
Yeah, surprising to get relatively early mitts, and none of the mitts lock stuff having really anything.
Are we at... I think we're at 2 items. We might be at 3, though. Well, I'm guessing we're at 2 because Ack is still checking items.
Yeah, 2 sounds correct.
Doing a bomb jump there. I did not know that location worked. There's actually, like, a billion different ways to do that bomb jump.
With all the showboating hovering he did earlier, the first hover that actually is useful, and he's just like, nah, I don't want to.
Yeah, it's a very short hover, too.
Well, there's the big key. We can check the big chest now.
You can also go to Cold Stare the intended way.
I don't even remember the intended way.
Durand covering his smithy check, which clears up everything in North... Yeah, that should clear up everything in Northwest Darkworld for him.
Yep, and we're gonna see the big chest. What do we have? It's the map, so Cold Stare with the last item, because of course Cold Stare has the last item.
And you have to kill him anyways.
Yep, and the half magic drop is actually super useful because Cold Stare usually takes a whole magic bar to clear, But with half magic, you still get 8 fire rod shots for the puffs, which is hugely useful with Master Sword level.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have the bow or the cane of Samaria to double up his fire rod shots.
Yeah, unfortunately for Durand, he doesn't have the mirror from that mushroom turn-in, so he's doing the blacksmith the really long way.
Really? He hasn't turned into mushroom yet?
Nope, he did not grab it. He just got it recently, because he just did the Village of Outcasts.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's where it was. I can only remember when he turned into a mushroom himself. Ack just barely surviving that fight and getting the cane of Samaria. That is pretty big. That unlocks Turtle Rock for him. Well, more of Turtle Rock for him. It unlocks Trinex and another crystal.
Yep, and you make the play there, or I guess you do. You go up to T-Rock.
Well, it also... He hasn't visited GT yet, has he? This means Ack can clear the entire basement.
Yep, which may be... I don't know, I would probably go to T-Rock before going to GT here, just in hopes of finding the bow there.
I don't know. I wouldn't say either answer is really wrong. But it looks like Ganon's tower is where he's going.
Looks like it.
Yep, luckily you do not need to correct your camera for this glitch. The collision is the same, so when you clip from the bottom, it will be exactly as if your camera were correct. You'll end up on the ladder into GT, and you can go in normally, and because GT is a multi-entrance cave, your camera is fixed. But not that he will be able to leave.
Yeah, unfortunately GT and Hera are just slightly misaligned, so when you try to mirror back from the top of the GT stairs, it's just like, no, you're in a wall.
Durand doing an interesting way to get the hobo. It works.
Yeah, it's a little bit quicker than the way Ack did earlier, swimming all the way up, or the usual way of going from Link's house of just dropping down to the water and swimming.
But there is a faster way, which is to clip into the corner right up at the top of, right at the bottom of the bridge, top.
I did not know that one. Also, I definitely thought Ack was about to do Dark Magician strats there, because he was ignoring the Stalfos, and then he went and killed the Stalfos.
There's the advantage of Dark Magician isn't really useful in Overworld glitches, unless you're in go mode.
Yeah, but it does let you avoid killing the Stalfos, which is a pretty big plus in my book.
Skeletons are scary, I agree.
So we're going to see these two going over each other's steps for a little bit until Ack gets to the right side of GT. It's worth a note while we're in this kind of position with not much to cover that if you have not already, give these two a follow. They're both very good at this game. Ack is quite good at entrance randomizer if you enjoy that. He is pretty well known for his entrance rando play, on top of being an overall good player. Durand, I don't know as much about, but in the 2 races I've seen of him versus Ack, he has been quite skilled, so very much drop them both a follow, see what they do on their free time when they're not in these races.
I mean, regardless of his skill, Overworld glitches is, it's easy, but it's not as easy as normal randomizer, so you gotta give him a bit of a shout for joining it. Especially if he's new, although maybe he's not new. Maybe he knew everything already.
Yeah, I think a lot of people see a lot of the more complicated stuff that gets done in these races and get kind of worried about overworld glitches, when really if you just stick with the logic and do the things the logic expects from you, it's very easy to complete a seed. It's just hard to do it as fast as possible.
The glitches themselves are actually all pretty easy. I was that way with Underworld major glitches, but once you sit down and start studying them, it all makes sense. Despite being glitches, they are very consistent. For the most part, 90% of the time, if you do the same movement into a wall, it's probably going to move you the same way that it did somewhere else.
Ack now on his Ice Armos fight with the Master Sword, making sure to use these sword beams to do as much damage as quickly as possible to the Armos as he can.
Although with half magic, he could have a very nice fight with the fire or the ice rod. Or even the King of Samaria.
And now he's going to have to go with poke strats or spin strats. Poke strats far easier to make quick use of.
Or the fire rod.
But fire rod takes magic though. You might need that magic.
I mean, there's a small magic pot on the right side for opening up right side, and there is a large magic pot in the torch room.
Okay, now super inconvenient here is the fact that both of these two cleared the left side, have not done the right side yet. The big key is on the right side. So if they want to check the big chest, they need to continue through the right side all the way down to the big chest, because the key was in these 4 chests. Well, 5 chests.
Yeah, that's not very fun. Ack making the tile room play, which is nowhere near as, like a gamble in Overworld glitches, because it has just as much a chance to have important progression as anything else.
And Durand is heading back up Death Mountain. We'll see where he's going. This looks like maybe he's going to be going to make the pod or catfish clip to head down the catfish and pod.
Yeah, that is what it looks like. Another funny auto walk thing. Oh, nope. Ooh, small soft lock there. Forcing him to save and quit.
It's never fun, but it's better than the infinite screen wraps where you actually have to reset.
Yeah, those are not fun.
Also, yes, Bombos was in Tile Room, so we got our Misery Mire entrance medallion in the worst possible location. And the bow in the compass room.
That puts Ack in go mode. And the big key. So we don't need to care about the big chest and the cape. So now we can use the cape.
And Ack is thinking very hard for a while. And he's like, oh, yeah, this is go mode. I'm going upstairs.
This is also a very easy. We're probably going to see from Ack is defeat Aghanim 2 to put him on the pyramid. Go to pod. Finish pod. Mirror to Eastern. Do Eastern. So 3 things he needs to do, all just smoothly connected here.
But I am curious how he's feeling right now. In his mind, he cleared 2 pendant dungeons for nothing. The hammer was a Sphere 1 location that he got maybe, an hour into the seed? I can't imagine he's feeling great about where he's at, but he's got a sizable lead right now.
There's also by no means a slow seed, so even with those clears, he's in a pretty good position. Even in Overworld glitches, go mode around this time is not super common.
Yeah, that's kind of the flip side of it is, it's still only 107 when he hit go mode, and you feel bad about those things. You think maybe my opponent hit go mode at 55 minutes, but it's hard to assume your opponent did that well.
Yeah, we saw a nice clip from the south of the catfish area to pod. Durand also mirroring into he killed blind, so he's going to get what the green pendant has.
We got to see the rarely seen Kiki text box telling them to play by his rules.
Yeah, Kiki does not like leading his screen. He will not follow you. He doesn't like a lot of things. What he wants you to do is pay him to open pod and then leave him alone.
So Ack will do pod and Eastern after Aga 2, almost for certain. Then he's got the tougher choice. He's got to do Mire and Desert, and he's got to do T-Rock. And really, either way you go leaves you in an inconvenient spot to finish out.
Yeah, after that, the fastest way is probably just going to be save and quit back to Link's house.
Yeah, I would say if he's still got his blue potion, probably the best thing would be to clear Mire and Desert first, and then go up to T-Rock, clear that, and then just fake flute to 4.
No,
but
he doesn't.
I thought he already used it.
Yeah, he just used the blue potion in the spike room after taking a bit too much damage.
Okay, that was more recently than I thought was the time he had used it. I thought that he got himself back a different way.
I think he got multiple ones. Probably good odds on seeing Ack show off with Moldon 2.
And with Tempered Sword and Silver Arrows, he's not even bothering to check these chests up here. There's nothing he could look for. He goes for the hover, and he drops.
Ooh, we have Durand going for Glan Pot to sequence break the right side of Pod. Being a much newer minor glitch, that is not in the logic. So bow can never be on the right side of Pod, and if Pod is bow locked, as it is normally, it's bow locked in Overworld glitches.
Yes, I also did remember that with Durand going to GT and clearing out the left side, he's going to have a lot lower incentive to go back there further right once he gets that Cane of Samaria from Cold Stare eventually.
Yeah, that is true. Might see a Turtle Rock play first. He's probably hoping that he can skip the right side and go straight up, but as we saw with the bow in the compass room, that's not going to be possible.
And unfortunately, with the decision to go into Pod and Eastern here over going into Ice, which you can full clear, that is going to make it pretty much, I hate to say impossible, but very, very unlikely that something could happen to get him back in this race. Usually your rule of thumb is to go to crystals you can full clear earlier. People like to avoid Ice in hopes of go-moding it, but in this situation, it's not really a choice I can get behind. It's a dungeon that you can't clear over one you can.
I don't know if I can ever agree with, skipping Ice. It's just Ice Palace. Not a big deal.
That said, I get what he's going for here. He's hoping that Pod pays off and that, he can save a little bit of time. Maybe he even thinks that Ice is the expected play and is trying to go another route in hopes of beating Ack by decision making. But either way, this is just a very bad result for him. There's nothing good that can come of this, unfortunately.
It's a bad result, but not necessarily a bad play. Because we're still missing 3 items, and one of them is the bow. So going in here, trying to find a sequence break, while we know that's not possible, if he thinks he can come up with something, it's going to tell him a lot about where other items can be. For example, if he saw Bombos in here, he would know that Misery Mire cannot have the bow.
Ack, meanwhile, heading up to the Land Molos fight, going to reacquaint himself with the boss he just beat in GT very soon.
And the fight's not going to go any different. He has the same equipment with Tempered Sword, Fire Rod, and Silver Arrows.
I mean, he could use a different weapon set just to, show off the different strategies.
Oh yeah, you're right. He also has the Ice Rod. Which does the same amount of damage as the Fire Rod to Landmo. The only difference being it's a bit slower in the air.
Unfortunately out of magic, so he's going to have to go with boring old Silver Arrow strats as Durand enters into Eastern Palace.
Wait a second, Ack never did Pod, did he?
No, he's gonna be going to Pod and Eastern later, I guess. He mirrored after being dropped on the pyramid and just fluted over to 6.
We were both so confident that he would.
I guess it is a little bit faster to flute to 5 than to walk over from pyramid, so it does make some sense.
Oh, actually, what we could see is him go to Turtle Rock next, then do the same clip down to Catfish, then down to Pod.
Yeah, that is very possible. Although, then you have to walk back out of the maze if you want to just walk over to Ganon, which is not fun. So you're going to save and quit out either way.
But that might be but it also skips going through the front half of the maze. So that might actually be the fastest way to do it.
Yeah, you may be right on that. I don't know these glitches quite well enough to know details of minor time saves like that, but it might be.
I don't either, I'm just making stuff up.
And we are almost through Eastern Palace. We do have the big key early, so Ack is not going to have to ever touch this vanilla big key room.
Ack probably hoping he can show off one more big hover. He can't. Sorry, Ack.
And a minor response to chat here, your first seed, if you try to get into Rando, could take you a lot more than 4 to 5 hours. I think my first one I actually completed was over 7.5, and that wasn't the first one that I tried to complete. So really, you could take quite a while on the first one, depending on your knowledge level, but any time that you are able to finish means that you are capable of beating the game, capable of getting better, and is very good for a first time playing through.
Mine took like 14 hours, but in my defense, I did pause the game a lot, but just with the start button, and not an emulator. I think it had like 7 hours menu time.
That seems like completely normal menu time.
Ack doing who knows what, going into that room.
Durand making the Pyramid Fairy play. It's a sensible play. Unfortunately, we know he is not going to get anything out of it. Also, I just realized that the tracker now has AGA 2 for this tournament on here. That's fantastic.
It does. Did it not at first?
Yeah, at first it was just a generic AGA icon used for AGA 1. So if I recall, JC said he was going to work on trying to see if Fiesel could add something for 2, and now I see that it's here.
You know what they should do with the tracker? Fix the blue mail icon. Not this tracker layout, but the other one. I don't like it.
Durand working on getting out of Pyramid Fairy himself, and his mirror placement is a little bit, I would say, less difficult to get, but it's much more difficult to get out. He works his way out of there, though.
As long as you... I thought he placed it a little bit high, which should be fine, so that as long as you hit it from the bottom, you're only going to need about 2 screen transitions to get out.
Got blocked by some bushes there, trying to mirror to the light world, and Ack continuing to just kind of tear through Misery Mire. He's going to be on Vitreous soon. He's got silver arrows. He's got red mail. He's got 8 hearts right now. He has like 0 risk in this fight.
One shot, 1 kill on all the small eyeballs, and a very fast 0 cycle into insta-dead Viddy.
Yep, and that's why Viddy is required for the silver arrows in vanilla, because it makes him too easy.
We have 3 dungeons left for him to clear. Do you think he's going to do Turtle Rock down in the pod? Or do you think he's going to make us look like fools again?
I'm not sure. I feel like they're both very good ways to route it. We'll find out as soon as he chooses a mirror spot, though.
Durand doing Mimic Cave.
He's taking a lot of time going to one-offs over going into Ice Palace, and
Yeah,
it's
really
never safe to do that.
That's his real downfall here, although he might be feeling so behind that he's hoping Ack has skipped all these one-offs and that they will have something useful.
Yeah, I know from experience, there are certain times where you're up against an opponent and you think, you know, okay, this is the obvious play. They're going to make it. They're going to beat me in execution, so I need to find a way that's not execution to take a lead. And that may be why Ice Palace has been put off so long, is because he's trying to avoid that.
And that may be why it looks like he's going into Swamp.
We might be getting ourselves a blind pet pull at some point here.
Very possible.
Okay, I don't actually recall where the big key was in Pod. I know in Eastern it was prior to the big key chest, but I'm not actually sure where it was at here.
Ooh, Durand skipped Hammer Jump, so I think it was in the back. That or he just didn't feel like doing Hammer Jump.
Yeah, Hammer Jump not super useful outside of Key Sanity and Rando.
So we are getting the Swamp play, which unfortunately we know nothing.
Yeah, it could have Butter Sword.
Maybe, but it could also be on Helma or something.
Yeah, it could have a book, which would be kind of nightmare mode for Durand.
Yeah, that's 2 more one-offs to check, and they're not very convenient to get to. They're not near anything else.
Okay, so Big Key was not up front, so Ack is going to be going to the back and checking out this way.
Ack doing the Hammer Jump, knowing that if the big key is in the dark maze, he can just leave instantly. Doesn't really matter that he won't be able to get the big chest because he has everything he needs.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where that bomb jump is actually handy in Rando. Just kind of a little bit simpler routing through the dungeon. Going around this little circle room here to find another heart piece. I'm really pulling for, like, at least Butter to be in here. At least give Durand something for his efforts. Nobody wants to do Swamp for nothing.
Maybe he gets Burna. Man, he doesn't even have many bomb or arrow upgrades left to get.
So Ack is running it back down the collapsing bridge instead of just going through the harmless hallway and grabbing the small key in there. That's an odd decision, I won't lie, but it works.
I would have just mirrored.
There is at least one item on the left side of Swamp Palace, so we'll see if Durand goes back in for that, or if he just says, no, wasted too much time here. And there's the big key, so there's at least 2 items he could come back in for.
At least that makes the double dip not as bad. I don't know. We know it's bad, but it's going to incentivize him to come back in not knowing where the bow or Samaria is, or Bombos.
Yep, and the swamp is a solid play. It's just not right in this case. We're going for the quick kill poke strats on Argus, which are fun to watch. Gets knocked out of it about halfway through.
I don't think that RNG would have worked anyways. I think that would have been a one cycle regardless.
Very nice and clean phase 2. And yeah, that phase 1 strat is one of the few quick kills that I just kind of went, I don't really get how to make this 100%. I'm just gonna do what I can and then do normal from there.
We also got a lonely turtle from Ack, where if the turtle you flipped ends up on a switch, then he's gonna be pushed south into the room that normally has nothing in it.
Which ain't so bad when you got a lamp. When you don't have a lamp and you're trying to find the block to push and that thing's just running into you, it's real annoying.
Yeah, you don't want that to happen. It also catches you off guard because you're not supposed to get hit in that room.
At getting his 20 rupees from Helmasaur King, gonna mirror over, clear out Eastern Palace, which is going to be very quick.
So we get our first yellow crystal.
Good old yellow crystals. The result of trying to menu while the crystal falls.
But not always. Weirdly inconsistent.
True, although very consistent with text boxes from dungeon items in Key Sanity.
That is true.
Durand making this slow route through left side swamp. Of all the reasons people put off swamp in Rando, both this mode and otherwise, left side is pretty much that reason. The main part of the dungeon is actually pretty quick to go through and everything's on the way, you don't have to go out of your way. Then there are just these two locations.
I don't know, I find it overhated. Just, get it over with. Go get your 2 items.
And that was where the big key was. Second chest of Eastern Palace. So, going to make things nice and smooth from here.
Nope, he doesn't have to worry about the compass chest, the big chest, or the big key chest. He just gets to skip right over to Armos.
Now he has the big key already for T-Rock, so I wonder if Ack knows the mirror wrap to get into Laser Bridge.
Possibly. But even if he doesn't, it's not too much longer to use the standard clip onto the middle area of Turtle Rock and just go through it normally from there.
Yeah, I just like having an excuse to watch people do that mirror wrap. It's a fun one.
It is, and it's one of the few useful ones. Durand doesn't really seem to be sure what he wants to do.
Heading back... Oh, he's gonna go pull pedestal now.
Oh, well, get your dead emote ready.
At the point when he pulls the pedestal, I think he's going to realize that he has lost this race.
Yeah, not a very good decision to put off Ice Palace for so long. Especially with such early access.
I definitely get it. I can't say for sure that I wouldn't also delay it before doing Swamp. But he did do a lot of just very slow one-off locations, and that's really what came back to bite him.
I mean, I get it at first, because, didn't have good equipment, wouldn't be able to kill Cold Stare quickly, but right now he has the hammer, Fire Eye, and most importantly, the Tempered Sword.
A little bit of love on the pedestal, but at least it was the 4th little bit of love, so it refilled his health. That's something.
And also solidifies his HP lead over Ack. But But unfortunately for him, the goal of this game is to defeat Ganon as quickly as possible.
But he's got the lead in everything. He's got, oh no, he doesn't have more rupees, but he's got more bombs, more arrows, more health. That's gotta count for something, right?
I mean, technically they have the same amount of magic, too. Half magic doesn't actually give you more magic, it just cuts your usage in half.
I still remember how utterly confused I was by the Magic Bat's description of what he was doing as a kid. Like, it always sounded bad, but also didn't sound bad, and I could never really be sure.
Have you ever played Paper Mario series? They did a much better job of that with the, I think it was Thousand Year Door, where you had the ghost giving you all the powers. It was like, ha, this is a curse. But no, it was just just turned you into a paper airplane. And we are getting the mirror wrap from Ack. So what a mirror wrap does is, it's trying to transition you, but it's kind of putting you in a weird spot where you're like halfway across the screen, and it's giving you the ability to transition. That mirror wrap's much more precise because you need to be in a specific spot, otherwise you're not going to clip out of the mountain that way. But Ack, who was in the correct spot, was able to press up, then left, to push him back into transition, and wrap halfway across the screen, putting him right where the laser bridge door is.
Ack, where are you going?
Does he not have the big key?
No, he wasn't in here earlier. That was Durand.
Oh, so, well, we know where the big key is. But at least this way, he will be able to just mirror back out.
Yeah, but he does know that it cannot be in this chest, because mirror wraps are not expected by logic, and so the only way to get to that door, to that chest without the big key, is by mirror wrapping to the laser bridge. So he was able to skip a lot of stuff that way.
I would have taken it for the small key, if, with only one key going in. Also, a fun fact is that the other side of the big key door, you'll notice it has nothing there. Well, in vanilla, it actually has a small key door there, but because that would mean there are more small key doors than there are small keys in this mode, then they decided to remove it so that you can't accidentally soft lock yourself.
One of the very, very large amount of efforts that have gone into making this game completely foolproof.
Yeah, well, not completely foolproof. If Ack wanted, he could do the dumbest thing possible and get a small key, then hover to the other side of the Misery Mire big key door, and use a small key there.
I said the efforts to make it completely foolproof. That one just isn't worth the effort. But no, they've made every effort worthwhile. Except
in Major Glitches mode, where you're actually expected to know how to use keys. Although, as we've learned from the very amazing Max Keys category, there's plenty of ways to get keys, so I'm gonna go with it's impossible to use all Major Glitches and actually soft lock yourself with keys.
I would believe that. Also, very, very clean first phase of Try Next from Ack there.
And a very clean second phase.
Yep. And he now has all 7 crystals. Ganon is now vulnerable, so he'll be heading to the pyramid to wipe him out right about now.
How's he gonna do it? Looks like he's gonna mirror and then just flute probably to 4. Now, if you didn't know this, you'll see that he was stuck inside the turtle's head, and it may seem like, he can't do anything. You can only mirror. Well, what is he doing?
Going to clip down to Catfish and walk?
Interesting.
Durand might get Samaria just before... No, I think yeah, he might get the Samaria just before Ganon is dead, if he has a clean Cold Stare fight.
I don't know if this is faster than Save and Quit. Might be. But, you know, I guess if you're not super confident, or you have bad equipment, that does give you a way to, with the mirror, to get potions from the witch. Although Ack with red mail, tempered sword, half magic, and silver arrow isn't gonna need that. So he's going straight to Ganon.
Yep, this is gonna be a very easy fight for him.
Theoretically,
he can get 1 in 1 cycle, just get Ganon down in 2 phases for 2 cycles for the first 2 phases total, but
I'm not going for the most important hover in the game, which is what I like to call the Ganon dev, where you just float over Ganon's hole before falling in. Just to show him who's boss.
And he does get that 1 in 1 cycle. He's on to phase 3 already. Should be able to wrap this up cleanly, assuming he does not fall off.
Very clean fight. Few warps, not really what you want to see, but you know that in Rando that both players are going to receive the same number of warps, so not a disadvantage at all. And on to phase 4. Yes, Ganon, we did find those arrows. Here's a couple of them back.
This is the perfect phase 4. Easy setup for 2 doubles.
And 2 more.
And assuming no shenanigans happen, Ack will be walking through the door very soon, emerging victorious from his first match of the tournament against Durand.
First match?
Yeah, so first best of 3 is what I mean by that. And he does finish with a time of 1:36.20 in first place. So GG to Acktheboker.
Well, we do see Durand. Looks like he is setting up to get Fairy so he can fight Cold Stare without any worries.
Yep, and once he gets his cane, he honestly has a lot of options left to him. Not just GT, he could go clear out all of TR, but he's going to be forced into GT pretty soon.
There's not a whole lot left, but nothing really pointing him to go right to GT. I'm not sure what he's doing now.
I don't believe he did the bomb jump, so he had to do this the vanilla way here.
Oh.
He's like, wait, what?
Did he ever get the iced tea chest? Is that what he's trying to do?
I think he came back from the iced tea chest and grabbed that. But because of the route he took, he never ended up pushing that block on the left side off. So now he's trying to figure out how to route this to get back over there. Incidentally, this is the vanilla intended strat that they actually edited the Game Boy Advance version of to make it so that the bomb jumped in him, or Samaria couldn't just cheese it anymore.
Yeah, that's like, I think that's one of the worst decisions that they've made for a remake. Although, on the other side of things, one of the best decisions they've ever made for a remake was adding funky fishing to the GBA port of Donkey Kong Country.
Medallion Boy shakes dirt again.
Yeah, that's another one I wrote. Half proud of that. Couldn't come up with anything better.
Yeah, Quake doesn't do a whole lot, so it's hard to think of a good one for that.
I mean, have you seen Ethers?
I have, although I forget what that one says.
Medallion Boy sees floor again.
Ah, yeah, that one. That one is pretty good. I'll give you that.
That's why I like it, because, you know, you never really see Ether used for that. But before I offered to just, you know, change a bunch of things for VTOR, it was just Medallion Boy sees coin again. So, for all three of them, so you couldn't really tell which one it was. And it looks like Durand got his way around. He's got the block pushable onto the switch. So now we're at our Cold Stare fight and our Samaria.
And we are joined by our winner, Acktheboker. Welcome, sir. GG.
GG, man. Thank you.
So, how come you did not do the Ganon dab hover? Where you just sit over the Ganon hole and just, you know, show him who's boss?
I heard you say that. You can consider that idea officially stolen now. I like that.
Well, I will give you points for the old.
Yeah, that was a new one I was thinking about. Someone gave me that idea.
It was actually in a task of the vanilla game.
Oh, really? Interesting. I didn't even know if you could do it. I never tried to do it with a sprite, you know. I didn't know if he had the, you know, magic boots too.
And if you're watching the stream, which it sounds like you are, you can probably figure out where things went wrong for Durand here.
Yeah, I guess late Ice Palace would have sucked. I don't blame him for the swamp dip. I was really wanting to do it myself. I mean, you got those flippers. I don't think there was anything specifically locked by the flippers, so...
Other than swamp, there is not.
Yeah. I had, you know, flippers, mirror, hook shot, before I had the hammer. Hammer unlocked a lot of stuff, so I figured I would chase that down, considering I'd already done 2 pendant dungeons that were big goose eggs, so...
Yeah, hammer was very late for both of you, despite being there right from the start.
Yeah, it made me a little worried. It's not, it is a tricky clip. It's easy to kind of soft lock yourself if you don't know what you're doing, but, I mean, that's also really hard to route in, I think, as well.
Yeah, I was saying that earlier, because, you know, once you're down there, you can't really... The best thing you can do is probably, unless you want to save and quit, take the Houlihan room to Lynch's house and do escape or something.
Yeah, or just, you know, save and quit to escape. I mean, it's kind of silly at that point. It seems like a one-off check to just, you know, do around the mountain. And, you know, I guess if you get mirror or something, or mitts or anything, you can do other stuff in tandem with it. But, yeah, it's kind of it's a weird location in this mode. I'm still learning, though, so I haven't really quite wrapped my brain around how to route things in. Especially every day I learn a new way to get to a different place, and I got all these puzzle pieces that don't quite fit together yet, but it's really been a lot of fun to learn.
Yeah, that's what makes the glitch modes a lot more fun. Maybe one day you'll learn how to push a block into a door.
I can only hope, you know, it's on my long to-do list of things to learn. Block pushing indoors.
So what do you think of this seed? What do you think of the actual layout of everything, all that stuff?
Like, the hammer was really the worst thing. Man, I did a practice seed, you know, it gave me, like, early mirror and moon pearl. That's, like, the most fun I think you could ever have in this mode. Late mirror is kind of interesting. I guess mine wasn't too late, but I was dreadfully worried about how late I got the hammer, and then, you know, doing the 2 pendant dungeons that came up with nothing.
42 minutes for your mirror, although you knew that 15 minutes ago.
Oh, I didn't even look. What else was there? I don't know. Kind of early in the morning for me, so I still trying to wake up. I was chugging coffee as I was playing.
Samaria wasn't a weird spot.
Samaria at Cold Stare is like kind of one of the more unlikely spots to find it, because I mean, you know, there's a good chance that Ice Palace could be locked by Samaria just because of the keys, but I mean, it was Ice Palace or Swamp Palace. I mean, I guess I could have went up and done GT as well. I really wanted to see if I could find the bow or Samaria before I went up there, and finding Samaria was just like, alright, well, I'll just do the whole entire bottom, see what I get, and then luckily, you know, the bow and Bombos were in there too.
Yeah, Durand ended up diving GT earlier about when you were considering it yourself from what you said there, and then did a whole bunch of one-off locations and kind of out-of-the-way stuff before deciding to go for the swamp play. So he kind of lost a lot of the time just from going for all kinds of off locations. He dipped pod in Eastern without the bow. He did like everything he could to avoid having to go into Swamp or Ice Palace before doing either of them.
Yeah, that would have done it this season. That's I considered going to GT before Ice Palace. I mean, for all you knew, all that stuff that, you know, was on the big key, bow, and bombos, I think they were all on the right side? Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Bombos was tile room, and bow and big key were both in the contest room.
So like the last 3 things you were looking for would have been in those last 5 chests, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. So it just seems like, you know, strange luck when GT finally unlocks you get to open all those chests and you go up there and get nothing. I'd be a little tilted if I would have made that play
GT
as well.
always seems 50-50 in this mode. Like, half the time it's, you know, junk, and you're like, oh, come on, I thought there was no junk fill. And then the other half is like, okay, this had everything. Why'd I put GT off so much?
Yeah. I could see some really dirty seeds if you had, you know, your hammer on the first item, or first item in the 2 chests, or on the torch, and then, you know, that unlocks everything else. Because you'd be specifically going in there for 3 items, that would be really tough too.
Imagine hammer ups. I mean, I don't think there's anything that says hammer can't be upstairs.
Yeah, yeah, I guess it could be in the first 2. I think you would have a tough time putting that chest in past the mini Helmosaurs, or, you know, past Moldorm 2, just because of small keys. I mean, I assume that it would be possible, but like to not have Cane or Hammer and then go up there and still be able to make it all the way, like, that seems pretty rough.
I believe it is possible, but it's kind of like the Fire Rod on Laser Bridge shenanigans, where it has to be just absolutely perfect layout.
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, with that win, you've taken this series to nothing. Move on to the next round.
Who am I playing next round?
Take a guess.
You got some scrub. You're probably gonna crush them.
Oh, I don't know about that. You're pretty good at this game. I don't feel good about it. I'll just say that.
I don't see what Mentos has to do with your next opponent. He's just a commentator.
I don't know. I think he's a little bit better than that. And I mean, I still feel like, you know, my own worst enemy in this. This is like my 4th or 5th seed that I've done. So to be honest, just being able to actually hit the done button, it feels like a really good accomplishment, because, you know, I still feel like it would be kind of easy to get stuck, or, you know, get flustered, or accidentally wrap and lose all of your progress. That's actually kind of what I saved and quit before I went up the mountain instead of fluting, just because I was scared about that mirror wrap to Turtle Rock.
Yeah, that's never a bad idea to just, you know, that could very easily lose any race if you just haven't saved and lose all your progress.
Yeah, it's free, you know, I mean, a free 5 minutes is crazy, but I mean, that would have been, you know, a free 15 minutes, and
you know, if you didn't have food, that's the fastest way up there anyway.
Right.
Unfortunate death for Durand.
Yeah, that hurts. I mean, he took the safety door, thankfully, so he can just go right back to try next, but... Gotta give him some credit. He is playing this out. I don't know if he's already seen the deck is finished or if he has SRTV minimized and has no idea what's going on. But given how long he put off Ice and Swamp as plays, he probably can't feel very great even if he doesn't know that the race is over.
And he could also be just one of those people who just wants to finish no matter what. So it has a bit of honor to it, to just like, you know, I may have already lost, but there's no reason to just give up now.
Yeah, absolutely, and he has been playing well for the most part, that Death to Trinex aside. He just did not have his routing work out, and that has made a much bigger time difference than just sheer play would have ended up with.
Yeah, we didn't really, you know, see many failures from either player in terms of glitches. We saw, you know, like 1 or 2 soft locks, but everything else was pretty well executed.
Yeah, for this being quite so early in how many of these you've done, Ack, you did a very good job of avoiding any of the, oh no, I'm trapped, I'm gonna just have to save and quit now.
I've had so many, I don't know.
Also, just an FYI, Ack, you don't really need to be worried about the mirror rep for that one. Because, let's say you don't mirror, you just transition. You can do the same inputs, and it will shoot you back to where you were. Just need to move a few pixels up, and you can try again.
Oh, for Turtle Rock?
Yeah, for the Turtle Rock mirror rep. The scary one is Ice Palace, because if you move too far north before you transition east, you're gonna get into an infinite scroll.
Gotcha. Yeah. I remember watching Frame and Chex' first race, and Frame showed off that really cool Turtle Rock to Skullwoods wrap, and I was like, oh man, that looks really neat. I'm gonna try that. I learned why that can be a little dangerous too. That was really fun.
Yeah, don't press right.
I figured it out.
I was learning the Kakariko to Eastern Palace and Ice Rod Cave stuff earlier this morning. Well,
Wait,
yesterday morning at this point.
You can't know those because I don't know those, and that's not fair.
Yeah, that's not fair, man.
Yeah, you gotta... Come on, let's play on a, equal footing here. No advantages.
Yeah, okay, how about both of you agree to not use any major glitches?
That would be a really entertaining way for this to go, for, the 20 minutes until we were out of options.
Yeah, whoever forfeits first wins.
Yeah, it's actually one of the worst things when you do all this clipping and you didn't need to.
I think my first race against Durand required maybe I think just one clip, and that was it. I think you would have had everything else to do it any normal way.
I've had a seed where the only clip required was to get Mitts and Super Bunny.
Yeah, I think it was something along that lines too, a glove, and that was pretty much it.
There's also, 6 months ago, there was a daily challenge. It was a Triforce Hunt Overworld glitches, and everyone who liked glitches was like, alright, this is fun, and then some guy was like, okay, I finished. He was like, and 30 minutes before everyone else. It's like, how'd you finish so fast? It's like, oh, I didn't even realize this was major glitches.
Oh, really? So he smoked everybody by not clipping?
Yeah.
I like that. That's awesome. Oh, that was normal Triforce Hunt. Boy, I bet that made you guys kind of question what you've been doing the whole time. I would.
It did.
Wait, I thought we were supposed to be doing this faster, learning tricks instead. I don't know. It's more fun. When I was watching the restream going back, I heard you guys questioning, if it was faster to go from Turtle Rock wrapping down to Catfish. I had no idea, but I mean, it was definitely more fun.
It is. That's why you don't want to see things like the Mitts, because I mean, if you Mitts and Flute means you have easy access to Mire area, which means you're waste of time to go down from Village of Outcasts.
I didn't activate my flute very fast. I was trying to really find a reason to go there.
We almost saw some not allowed glitches from Durand mirroring on a conveyor portal. mirroring on a conveyor belt. Pushed him a little bit into the entrance doorway, but he was able to get out before doing anything bad.
I have no idea what that would do. Surprised I haven't done it on an accident, to be honest.
Nothing unless you're actually trying, really.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
That's the best kind of glitch. Useful if you're trying, not harmful if you're not.
What really surprises me is that in all of my, standard rando races, I've never accidentally done a mirror wrap. I feel like you would have accidentally done that maybe once or twice when you were playing the game, but surprisingly, no.
But meanwhile, there's the other end, which is a glitch that's pretty much never useful, but very easy to do on accident and very devastating to do on accident, which is the quadrant glitch.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about those. Mostly spinning on a conveyor or something. I've seen all the clips of people, with their panic attacks in Thieves Town, and I guess sometimes it happens in Moldorm 2's room.
Yep, it can also happen to a couple people on the bumper room in Pod. It's even happened to Zelda during when he was doing a low percent, no damage.
I think I did see that clip. Yeah, that's that would have been a fun one. So yeah, strangely enough, avoided those all my careers. Lucky for me, I think I probably would have had a slight heart attack if I would have accidentally pulled off a mirror wrap in the middle of a rando race.
Yeah, even less useful is the jingle glitch. You've probably heard the after the torches in Ganon's tower, make sure you slow down and wait for the ding ding before going upstairs.
You call that the jingle glitch? I thought that would have been one of the holiday special glitches there. No, I'm familiar with that one. I've accidentally done that one in Ganon's tower, and I've also accidentally done that one in the second room in Ice Palace.
Yeah, I was looking into it recently, and so far I don't have uses for it. I don't have any uses for it so far.
Oh. Yeah, tough to do stuff in a dungeon that doesn't have anything in it anymore.
Well, what it also does is, what I think it's doing is it's updating your room ID, and then freezing you, and then when you do transition, it's overwriting the old room ID onto the new one. So you could potentially respawn a chest or a key with it.
Huh.
Actually, that's what really got me looking into it. Someone had, they had that problem in Thieves Town. They went upstairs from the prison area, and they were like, hey, my game is broken. I went upstairs, and now the door is relocked. And so I looked into it, and I was like, okay, the door is relocked, but also look at this. The small key is respawned.
Durand approaching Moldorm 2. I believe we're going to see an actual fight this time.
I mean, we saw one from Ack. He got humbled.
Yeah. It's always that last hover that gets me. Sorry. Couldn't pull him off.
At least it wasn't as bad as Trolldorm 1, who gave both you and Durand a little bit of work.
Yeah, what a jerk. I don't know how I didn't kill him the first time. I was all over his tail and he refused to die.
Yeah, you had that fall after all that. Durand was chasing him around the platform for ages in full speed. Didn't fall off, but took a lot longer with the fight.
Oh, just a little Benny Hill fight. Oh, awesome. I think I am going to head out, grab some breakfast here. I'll let you guys finish up your commentary, but man, as always, man, appreciate the commentary, waking up early for me.
You gave us something to commentate.
Well, I tried. I really did. Hopefully I didn't do too many dumbs. Yeah, thanks to the tracker and the restreamer too, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the wonderful showing, and I look forward to scheduling some races with you for some time this week.
See you next week.
I'll do it live.
I hope you can't hear the sweat dripping off my brow through my mic right now. I'm a little nervous about that one.
I feel the same way. So obviously this is going to be a little bit of a cluster.
That's all right. Just stop learning stuff, okay? And I'll stop learning stuff too. My fingers aren't crossed behind my back,
I mean,
all right?
both of you could just, watch the little 2-hour session I did with Chris and just learn a bunch of random stuff.
I actually caught a little bit of that, so. But, awesome, guys. Appreciate it again. Have a good one.
You too.
Also, now that Ack's gone, I can give Mentos a little bit more advantage. There's also a map by Futon, which annotates probably 90% of the useful clip locations to know.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one. If I recall, that's the pinned message in Glitch Mode's channel on Discord,
Yep,
right?
there should be one for Light World and Dark World.
Yep, so for those of you who are interested in learning this mode, who maybe haven't thought of giving it a try yet, it's worth a look. There are a lot of places where clips can be useful. Those maps tell you where they're at, and you can go have some fun experimenting and trying to figure out what they are, or searching for videos to show you what they are.
Yeah, I mean, when I had my computer working, that's what I would spend a lot of time just saying what can I do. It's even when you know a lot, it's really fun to just mess around even more, see how you can break things, even if you can't find anything.
Worth noting that where Durand is at now, he's got to just clear Misery Mire, Palace of Darkness, and Eastern Palace, and he will be wrapping up after that and a Ganon fight. So he's pretty close to the end here. We're gonna carry this through, watch him finish up.
And he does already have the big key for both Pod and EP, so straight to the boss. And depending on his route, the Misery Mire big key will also be early. I believe it was in the lobby chest.
Yeah, so worst case scenario, you can route it where that lobby chest is the last chest, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone route the way that would require.
No, but it's pretty out of the way, so I usually just get it right after hitting the switch.
And generally speaking, I'm actually surprised that with all the extra stuff that he did, he never found that fourth sword, or the third shield, or the book, or the blue boomerang, the actual good boomerang. Like, all the stuff that we're missing on Ack, he checked a lot more stuff and still hasn't found.
Well, we know where all three shields are. They both skipped the shield on Zora Edge.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
The book's still out in the open. I don't think we have... How many items did we even get in Mire from Ack? Book could be here. Or it could be upstairs in GT.
Yeah, it does have some potential. If it's upstairs in GT, then Durand also did not find it.
I think that covers pretty much everything.
So beyond that, what else? Yeah, those are pretty much the only two things that we didn't see during this, although we only found 2 bottles. There's also 2 more bottles hidden out there somewhere.
No, I thought we found a total of at least 4. I thought we found all 4. Just, between the 2 of them.
Oh, we may have, and it just kind of went to conveniently split up like that.
I mean, it is easy to kind of glance over the 3rd and 4th bottle. Even in this node, they're not the most important things ever.
Yeah, unless you're going for the vaunted Pearless Seed. There's very few times where you're going to even need more than 1 or 2 bottles in the seed to do some fancy stuff without really being super concerned. So while we have a little bit of these technical issues going on here, which are a little bit harder to cover when the other racer is already done, just kind of want to say again that these major glitch modes, I know that they do look intimidating. It took me a while until we had the daily challenges come out to even try one. It took me till this tournament was coming up, and I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a shot to push for it. We got a total of 24 people for this tournament after 512 for the Spring Standard Tournament. So that goes to show you just how many people are kind of put off and worried about learning the glitches. And I think that they're a lot easier than people anticipate, and they open up the game in a really fun way. So if you are interested in them, give them a shot. There was definitely room for us to have more than 24 people. I feel like a lot of people, if they had sat down and given them a shot, they could have got them pretty quick, as I pretty much did that to learn for this tournament. But yeah, give it a shot and see how it goes. You'll probably enjoy what you end up with.
I feel like a handful of people only drop because of technical issues.
Yeah, that as well. I do know that we had a couple other things come up, or a couple other people who were joined and then ended up leaving before it started.
That's okay, because you're scary anyway. There are a bunch of scary people in this tournament.
That's true. Pretty much everyone.
And while you may see like all these different locations to clip, it's only one thing to learn for how to do it. It's not like you need to memorize a billion different pixels. You need to remember a few cues and know where to apply them.
Very, very true. And I'm going to go ahead and say, since Durand's stream is offline, I was kind of trying to look into that while we were going over some of that stuff. He is offline, disconnected. He did finish on SRTV with a time of 2:13:32. He actually just said in the race chat that he has a bad Ethernet cable that cut him off. It should be coming up in a few minutes, but by this point it might be beyond the point of his finish. So I think we can go ahead and mark him as done and see if he wants to come in here for an interview, and then we'll be able to kind of wrap things up from there.
That's unfortunate, but at least he was able to make it through most of the race without any technical issues.
Yeah, of all the times that things go wrong after he's in go mode just on his way to the finish is probably better than in the middle of the race when all kinds of craziness is going on.
Imagine if he like cut out and then suddenly imagine Ack cutting out in GT and then suddenly he has the 3 items that he needed for go mode. It'd be a bit weird.
Yeah, it really would. I've seen some races where runners were cut out for pretty much the entirety of the race, jump back in, and boom, they were in GT, and it was a super close race, which is fun to see, but it gets confusing.
It's like a mystery novel, but, hopefully anyone who is prone to technical issues is also doing a local recording so that should any questions come up, they are able to verify it and also able to validate their race by showing the admins that yes, they completed it and yes, they didn't cheat.
Okay, and we should be being joined by Durand here momentarily. We're going to have a little bit of a brief interview and then wrap this up at that point. Oh, and he's in the setup room, so I'll go ahead and bring him up here. Durand, welcome. GG.
GG, thanks.
So some
So-
unfortunate technical issues there at the end, but you didn't play out this scene, get it finished.
Yeah, I've always had trouble with that Ethernet cable. It's just I need to get that thing changed out.
So, what was with your aversion to Ice Palace?
So the one thing you might have noticed is I just like stopped. I actually for a moment forgot how to clear it the vanilla way, and I didn't have Canis Amaria, so I was having trouble with that.
You also put it off for a long while for a bunch of one-off locations. What was your reasoning behind that?
I think a lot of it's I'm just used to doing standard seeds, and it's a long way through to have to go get every single chest in Ice Palace, so I was hoping to hit go mode before I had to do that. But I think those one-off locations took more time than I thought they did. So I think the main thing I did wrong had to be routing and underestimating time to get certain items, for sure.
Yeah, I think those one-offs are what burned you the most.
Yeah, it's a pretty common thing. If Ice Palace, Swamp Palace, they're those things that you always want to go mode. So it's really, really easy to push them off for those one-off locations, those, dips into Pod Eastern. But sometimes if you do that, it ends up biting you, and this was the kind of seed where that comes up.
Speaking of one-offs, how about that location?
Or which location? I missed that.
Yeah, it cut out a little bit. I believe he said the hammer location.
Oh, yeah, trying to remember where I got it. I know it was somewhere... Oh, yeah, that's right. The, Graveyard Ledge. Yeah, I felt like I had an advantage there until I had to clear as much as I did.
You go, sorry.
Oh, because I thought maybe Ack hadn't found it yet. Because that one, you'd usually route in with something like the King's Tomb, and it is a one-off location in the sense that usually you end up saving and quitting, or if you have the mirror, you can continue from there. So it's more convenient if you already have the mirror, and I don't think I did yet.
He did actually, he didn't actually have it when you went there. You both got it pretty late.
Yeah, it was still pretty late, for sure.
Yeah, I'd say this was probably just as close as the first race until after, what was it? After getting these mitts and everything and the fire rod, I believe Ack went to Ice Palace pretty soon afterwards. You kind of were on the other side of the map wrapping up some stuff that he had done beforehand. When you guys kind of lined up on items, he went to Ice, you went over to GT, and then kind of began that list of locations that weren't Ice Palace. And that was really the point when things separated, was just that one decision time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder then, I guess I need to think through, like, when to go into Ice. Because I know some of those items I went after, that was way too much time, for sure.
Yeah, that's a tough one to make a call on. Speaking from all of my experience playing this game and trying to route it, I have dove Ice too early so many times, dove it too late so many times. Eventually you kind of get a feel for when, okay, maybe the logic's pointing me here, but it's rough.
Yeah, and I also never checked Lumberjack, so that was constantly on my mind and scaring me the whole time. Like, oh great, is this the one seed where something required's there?
Oh yeah, that's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
But lucky for you, that was garbage. What was it? I think it's garbage, so I don't remember. I'm not keeping track of it.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically either. Either way, I do want to give you a shout out on your just general glitch execution. I think you had one time where you got stuck in a wall, and everything else was very, very clean.
Yeah, that descent to Catfish, that didn't go right. I was on the wrong pixel.
Well,
that.
if you just dash to the right, you get it every time. Nothing to worry about with where you are. Dash works every time.
I have to remember that, because I never knew that one.
Keep it in mind for Zora.
And yeah, any other just kind of general thoughts on the scene? Anything particularly stand out about it for you?
Well, I know the main thing that made me the most apprehensive was when I decided to descend down to Pod. I thought, okay, I'm gonna go here because I'll at least probably find something required out of Sahasrala's items. I already had the green pendant. I'll clear as much of both dungeons as I can, and it ended up probably costing me a big chunk of time doing that, not having the bow yet.
It was the wrong move, but it wasn't a bad move, because Catfish, which is normally pretty isolated, is not in Overworld glitches, and that's a good play to go from Catfish to 2 dungeons.
I guess it just turned out bad is all in that case. But overall, the main things that were scaring me was Lumberjack Cave, and I believe even before I had the Titan's Mitts, that technically the I'm trying to remember what it was. The hammer pegs were in logic. I think there is a way that I've not practiced much to clip over there using the moat.
Yep, it's actually a pretty easy clip. Just buffer into the little diagonal ledge east of Pyramid, and just keep buffering, and you're going to land right on the screen transition. And if you hold left, you're in fake flippers without even trying.
Yeah, a couple times I tried it, I got in the moat, but then somehow managed to clip off the ledge close to the area where the hammer pegs were, but then got stuck in a tree. So I still
careful there.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, it's just general routing I'd need to look into to try and get better at this.
Yeah, this mode takes a whole different beast of routing, no matter how used to the regular modes you are. I'm still trying to understand how to route it well myself. But you played quite well, you executed everything well. Unfortunately, the choices didn't really hit the right direction for you in this one, but...
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. I was glad I was able to complete it, I had a worse seed last night practicing, so I'm still glad for that.
What was so bad?
Oh, I'd full cleared everything, and it turned out I needed Quake to get into Mire. And it was at the back of GT, which was the very last thing I checked. Like, toward Aghanim.
That was Christos versus Glan yesterday.
Oh, that happened to them?
Yup.
Wow.
Wasn't as bad, though.
And with that, any final words from you before we get going?
I think that's pretty much it. It was a good seed, good run. GG to Ack. I'm glad I got in this tournament because I was really apprehensive about even trying doing glitch mode until I got in the tournament. So it's actually a lot of fun.
It is, and I mean, it's pretty I don't know. Saying brave makes it sound like you're not a good player, but it takes guts to just join a tourney, especially when you're not very confident in what's going on.
Yeah, I all in all, it's good fun, so it was worth it.
And you put up some pretty good shows with Ack here in these 2 matches, so everyone appreciates you joining. It was a good thing to watch. So with that, a couple touches on the schedule for the day. We do have one race going on right now. It started about an hour ago. That is Bellyaim versus JC. That should be a good matchup. We got that going on Speed Gaming 3. In about 2 hours, we have Glan versus Christos Owen, Game 2. That'll be on Speed Gaming 2. Speaking of Christos Owen, he also has his Game 2 of the Spring Main Tournament tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern against Hippo, if you want to catch the Standard Tournament. And then we got one more match for the Overworld Glitches tournament, which is round 2 of Ballyaim versus JC on ALTTP Randomizer come 5 p.m. tonight. So we do have a lot of rando throughout the day. If you enjoy watching Overworld Glitches, there are 2 more matches to come that haven't started yet. If you're looking for just rando in general, there is the big semifinal match later today as well.
And, yeah, that's about it.
Give the general commentary of make sure to give these runners a follow. As I said earlier, when they were tracing each other's steps, they are both quite good, both fun to watch, both deserve a follow. As well as thanks to our tracker, Ilyana. They have actually left already. They had some stuff coming up that since the race was over, they left for before the stream was done. But they did a fantastic job keeping up on everything. And of course, thank you to my co-commentator, FMP, for being both very knowledgeable and a very good comm partner.
Nah, you were better.
We can agree to disagree. Either way, thank you everyone for coming out today, and we will see you next time.